Thanks for tuning in to this 13 Plus special covering our team's stories from Severe Weather Awareness Week. I'm meteorologist Twardy. From breathtaking resilience to the science that saves lives, our team brought you 6 stories, not just about the power of storms, but the power of preparation, science, and survival. Over the next 25 minutes, we'll take a look at stories from the meteorologists behind issuing watches and warnings, plus those who have faced nature's fury head on. You'll hear about how we forecast and what factors can turn a general thunderstorm into a life-altering event. Let's start things off from step 1, making sure you and your family are prepared to weather any type of storm. When severe weather strikes, it's vital that we know what to do, where to go, and how to stay up to date on important weather information. With a plan in place, we can turn a story of potential tragedy into one of triumph. Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks explains how you can weatherproof your life.
Hey, did you know it's Severe Weather Awareness Week? Do you have a tornado safety plan in place? Like at home, for example. You'd head straight to the basement. No basement, no problem. Think lowest level interior room, no windows. But our lives are busy. And during active weather, you must always know the tornado plan so that you never get caught out in the storm. Because getting stuck someplace like a park or here in your car causes your options to become limited and dangerous. And that takes us here, one of the most unsafe locations to be in during severe weather, a mobile home park. If you live in one, you need to have a plan in the case of a severe storm and know your nearest safety location. Sound like a plan? Good. Stay safe this severe weather season.
A big part of being prepared for severe weather is knowing the forecast and staying weather aware. As meteorologists, we look at current conditions, radar imagery, forecast models, and much more to predict when storms could turn severe. Meteorologist Blake Hansen breaks down the key ingredients for severe storms and how they play a role in the forecast.
Forecasting the weather is complex, as the atmosphere is always in constant motion. This complexity is enhanced when severe weather is a possibility. Of the roughly 100,000 thunderstorms that occur each year in the United States, only 10% become severe. So what goes into forecasting severe weather? Let's explain. There are 4 common ingredients that can enhance an ordinary thunderstorm into a severe one: moisture, lift, instability, and wind shear. Let's start with moisture. Thunderstorms need enough water vapor to form clouds and induce precipitation. We measure moisture through the dew point. The higher the dew point, the greater amount of moisture present in our atmosphere. Next is lift. Air needs a push upwards to start thunderstorm formation. The most common source of lift is through a front, but it can also occur simply through the heating of the day. In West Michigan, we have a unique mechanism of lift. It's known as the lake breeze. Simply, lift gets things going. Our third ingredient, instability, and it works hand in hand with lift. Instability determines how fast the air rises once it is lifted, a measure of energy in the atmosphere. The more unstable the air, the faster it rises, fueling strong updrafts that power severe storms. Our last ingredient, wind shear. It's a change of the speed or direction of wind with height, and it enhances storm strength and organization. Speed shear happens when winds get faster the higher you go. It tilts a thunderstorm, helping it grow taller and last longer by separating the updraft and downdraft of an individual thunderstorm. Directional shear is when winds change with height. This can make a storm rotate, and this is a key factor when looking for tornadic activity. So of these 4 ingredients, they vary with each storm, but can be analyzed by observing current conditions or predicted using forecast models. Meteorologists examine the atmosphere from top to bottom, starting with the jet stream, then working downward through mid-level winds, pressure, and vorticity before focusing on surface conditions like fronts, temperature, and precipitation. A sounding is a forecast tool that provides a vertical snapshot of the atmosphere, helping meteorologists understand weather conditions at different heights. It's gathered in real time from weather balloons or predicted through models. All of this allows meteorologists to determine any source of moisture, mechanism of lift, magnitude of instability, and amount of wind shear, then utilize it all into a simplified forecast. Understanding the 4 ingredients highlights just how complex and ever-changing the atmosphere can be, which is why it's so important to remain weather aware and prepared for whatever conditions may develop.
Well, when storms arrive, many take cover, but these unseen heroes stay at their post. Inside the National Weather Service, meteorologists are working around the clock, monitoring threats and issuing alerts when the weather turns dangerous. Meteorologist Colton Woods visited the Grand Rapids National Weather Service office to show the behind the scenes of their operation and how they jump into action when severe weather arrives.
When severe weather strikes, you'll see a meteorologist on TV. But there's also meteorologists in the National Weather Service making sure you're weather aware as well.
Radar's showing a rear inflow jet of about 75 to 85 knots coming into the Whitehall area.
Late March through May is peak tornado season in West Michigan.
I believe this is going to require a severe thunderstorm warning for 80-mile-per-hour winds.
But severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, and damaging winds can happen year-round.
The Flint tornado killed 116 people. That occurred on June 8th of 1953.
A stark reminder that we all need to be prepared.
Any outdoor activities, you go fishing out on the lake, to have a means of getting weather information, specifically weather alerts for severe weather.
Receiving critical weather alerts is crucial for your safety. That's why the NWS office in Grand Rapids is staffed 24/7 to ensure you have enough lead time to get to shelter, no matter the time of year or day.
So we issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Muskegon County at 5:19 a.m.
A time many would still be asleep, and this is when having a NOAA weather radio that acts like a smoke detector for severe weather would keep you safest.
We're doing a lot of training on issuing warnings based on severe weather events from the past. We have archived cases of all types of severe weather, downbursts, tornadoes, large hail.
We can use different cases to help us train up, practice issuing and, dusting off some cobwebs, because in the wintertime, we're usually not issuing warnings for stuff like this.
These mock storms allow the meteorologists to practice their goal of issuing warnings to the public within a minute once a storm looks severe, analyzing 3 different objectives: expected hazards, the reason for the warning, and the impact on you.
For this instance, because it was the duration, I'm going to do dangerous winds in excess of 65 knots, because there's over 100-mile-per-hour winds observed with this storm as it moved through Iowa.
Tornadoes being the most critical to warn for. Tornado warnings can last up to an hour if the threat looks to last that long.
Generally, though, we want to be within 30 minutes because they can quickly, change.
To draw the warned polygon area, write in the text about the storm and send it to the public takes just minutes. No matter what the storm hazard is, the NWS is there protecting you.
If things get really bad, what we can do is we can have our neighboring offices in Detroit, Northern Indiana, and Green Bay. They are capable of issuing some forecasts and warnings on our behalf, and we can do the same for them.
So as we head into severe weather season, you can count on the unseen heroes here at the National Weather Service. Reporting in Grand Rapids, I'm meteorologist Colton Woods, 13 on your side.
Behind every storm, there's a story, and for some, it's one of survival. Coming up, we'll hear from those who have felt the brunt of nature's force and how it changed their lives forever. Every spring, as severe weather season returns to the Midwest, we see the threat of tornadoes, powerful winds, flooding, and so much more. We hear about the dangers, but it can be easy to forget just how quickly a situation can turn into a matter of life or death. I sat down with one local teacher that was struck by lightning and lived to tell the tale, sharing his remarkable story of survival. Lightning is one of nature's most powerful and unpredictable forces.
It was just one of those epic storms.
With the ability to shake the skies with sound,
Incredible, deep thunder.
and strike with deadly force.
This happened in 1988. Geez, 37 years since that lightning strike. Because I was a wild 21-year-old, pretty fearless, invincible, ready to take on anything. So I chose to ride my bike and try to beat the storm to Rockford. The clouds were getting darker and darker and more ominous, and I knew I was up for a challenge. I was coming this way, and then this is where, right about here, the hail kind of started. I came to my senses for a bit and took a left and rode my bike all the way up to that house and just was really close to knocking on their door. I just decided to go 180 and take on this storm. I know. I promise you, at the end of this driveway, I think I said my first prayer. It took about a minute for that prayer to be answered. I was right here when the lightning hit this tree, took the tree out, but spared me. The flash was just an absolute brilliant, bright, light blue flash.
And the branches of the bolt?
The rivers of current that came off the main bolt
Struck Cleefish.
right in the face, out the throat, and in the shoulder, and out the elbow.
50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun.
And there used to be a welt, and then there was a bruise here, and there was another welt here, and a bruise where it exited my arm.
Generating 300 million volts of energy.
It's just the result of all that electricity is it just made me just like this, and I just grabbed onto my handlebars, and I coasted maybe 20 yards, 30 yards, just waiting for this thing called Joe Cleefish to pass away, because I didn't feel like I could survive this.
But that isn't where this story ends.
And then I realized I started to get like sensations in my fingers and feet. I got off my bike and I looked up and I saw this poor guy in a red Jeep, and so instinctively I ran up to his Jeep and I said, hey, I just got hit. And he said, yeah, I know.
The two took a quick trip down the road to the police station, where Cleefish would soon be transferred to the hospital. With time, his wounds healed, but the strike left a much longer-lasting impact, a new lease on life.
I'm really blessed. I've got a wife, 5 kids, 2 grandchildren. When my alarm goes off in the morning, I know it's a blessing, and it's extra time that I don't deserve, and it's a gift.
Well, West Michiganders are no strangers to severe weather, from lightning strikes to large hail to violent tornadoes. On May 7, 2024, an EF2 tornado tore through the city of Portage, Michigan. The twister reached estimated maximum speeds of 135 miles an hour and was on the ground for around 11 miles. Thankfully, there were no deaths from this event, but still many lives were turned upside down. Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks visited those who were affected by that powerful storm, getting an update on how the community is doing nearly 1 year later.
Adam, you guys had quite the year. About 1 year ago, nearly, was the EF2 Portage tornado.
Mm-hmm.
What has it been like since that occurred?
It's been certainly an experience for this community. It has changed the perspective, I think, for every resident of Portage when you hear the tornado sirens go off or you see a tornado hit another community. It's certainly become a much more of a reality, just as far as what impact those other places are going to be going through.
Can you tell me a little bit about what the immediate response efforts were following the tornado?
Certainly. The immediate response is directly right to life safety. It is public safety, going out, knocking on doors, going through damaged properties, just trying to make sure that everyone is safe, is accounted for, and we were very fortunate that we did not have any fatalities. There were certainly some injuries, but we really came out unscathed by way of significant personal harm. Of course, the first weeks and months in the aftermath are much more intense, but that doesn't mean that there's still not a significant need out there.
And one of those needs has been funding all along. Can you speak to that?
Sure, I'm happy to speak to that. We've been fortunate that we've had very supportive local nonprofits like Griffin Place after the storm. We've also had state legislators that have kind of stepped up to help provide some additional funding. It's never enough. There's always going to be a greater need for financial assistance, and there are dollars available, but we are making progress in that regard.
Now going through this, I mean, and you just spoke to me before the interview started, you guys had the ice storm, then the tornado, then a windstorm. What are some of the unexpected difficulties that you all have seen surrounding these different severe weather events?
Certainly it's been a challenge for our Public Works Department. Oftentimes they're the unsung heroes who are out there with chainsaws in the middle of the night. They don't really operate with lights and sirens, so they're kind of a quieter response, but they've really been on the spot as you deal with ice storm and downed trees. A lot of this is related to debris management and tree debris management, and how do you handle that? What does someone do when half of their garage has been destroyed? Where does that debris go? How much space do you have for a windstorm and a tornado that wipe out, we're estimating, around 48,000 trees? The outpouring of volunteers and just person on the street coming out and being willing to help was truly heartwarming. I have talked to hundreds, if not thousands, of residents, businesses, others, and just the communal support, the support from neighbors, certainly has gone to another level.
Is there any way that the outside community can help support you?
At this point, I guess it would just be when you come to Portage, frequent our businesses, support the local economy. There are still a number of local businesses, especially in the path of the tornado, that really took a beating and are struggling to recover. So as far as those outside the community, I would say just come in, patronize those businesses, visit our parks. They may have fewer trees, but they're still beautiful to me.
Tell me a little bit about what the days, weeks, months after that tornado have been like.
The days after, we unfortunately had to remain closed for the 2 days immediately following the storm. We couldn't even get to our building. There were trees down, power lines down. It was just impassable. And knowing that there were families that were impacted and in need, it really hurt us not to be able to be open immediately afterwards. But after 48 hours, we were able to get to our building. And first of all, the outpouring from the community was huge. We never expected that kind of support from the community with donated items, food, clothing, personal care items like shampoo, deodorant, toilet paper. And then we started seeing clients immediately, right away. And the stories we were hearing from the families impacted by the tornado were just, you started to get a bigger sense of the damage. Again, there were still spots right immediately after that we could not get to in town. So it was probably a week before some of us could get through and drive through the disaster area in town. We helped over 400 families in the 3 weeks immediately following the storm with food, clothing, and personal care items.
So just basic needs and necessities.
Basic needs, absolutely. Yep.
And since then?
Since then, it has been, food pantry visits are up 8% over this time last year, and personal care and clothing requests are up 27%. Most of that is due to families still impacted by the storm. A lot of families were, why they may have had insurance, were underinsured, so there are a lot of out-of-pocket expenses, and things are just still tight for a lot of these families. So the need is still there, and that's why we're here.
What did the Portage tornado teach you, even within the building, but also just personally, about handling severe weather situations?
Expect the unexpected. Yeah, we were very fortunate. The tornado turned north of our 200 yards north of our building, so we were spared any damage here.
Anyone in the community that doesn't know about the resources available to them, what would you say? How do they access them? How do they get in contact with you?
Go to our website, www.portagecommunitycenter.org, or give us a call. Even calling places like City Hall, they'll refer residents to us for assistance, and we can point them in the right direction.
And what does that process look like from there?
People have to do an intake with us. There are income guidelines, residential guidelines, so you have to live within the city of Portage, and just show some proofs before and fill out an intake with us, and then we can get you the help you need.
Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, we just thank you to the community as a whole. Like I said, the Portage community just never ceases to amaze me with their support and everything after the disaster.
My name is Paul Myers, but wife's parents bought this after World War II, 1947. They've had it for 75 years. And along comes this tornado and destroyed everything. I had my business set up here, was working and out of here. And it's changed a lot in the last few years, but who can predict a tornado?
So this is the damage left behind nearly a year later.
I've gotten a lot of it out of here, all my trucks and business equipment and everything out of here. That house, there was a house right there. And actually, this is a historical house, but I never claimed it for the city. It's the original airport office for Kalamazoo. What's the last year been like for me? I've never been under social stress in my whole life, but I don't blame God, I don't blame the city. I just go to work and try to help, or do what you got to do as a citizen.
Yeah. Were you here on the day of the tornado?
No, thank God. If somebody would have been in either one of these houses, they wouldn't have made it. But I've told you, a lot of people have been donating their help and helping me. It's just amazing. It just shows me how faith in people.
Yeah. People can be generous.
Mm-hmm.
Next week for the state of Michigan is Severe Weather Awareness Week.
Okay.
After living through this event, what's a message you would like to get out to the public about severe weather safety?
You can be preventative in the sense that be reasonable about it, but when something as major as a tornado happens, there's nothing you can do. You're not going to stop the hand of nature from inflicting your life. And it's the aftermath that counts, what you're going to do about it. And hopefully you'll keep moving in a positive direction.
From science to survival, severe weather awareness reminds us that although the intricacies of thunderstorms can be unpredictable, how we respond doesn't have to be. As the severe weather season ramps up, be sure to have a severe weather plan in place, know the forecast before the storm arrives, and of course, stay weather aware. Thanks for joining me for this 13 Plus exclusive special. I'm meteorologist Amber Twardy. Have a great day.